Kirk Cousins is marching up and down Radio Row in New Orleans leading up to the Super Bowl, trying to get the word out that I was injured in 2024. And that has led to a lot of speculation about what's next for Kirk in Atlanta. ESPN's Adam Schefter had this to say. This is a situation that looks an awful lot like what Denver and Russell Wilson went through last offseason before Denver decided ultimately to move on from him when it said it wouldn't necessarily do that. They released him. He wound up signing a one-year deal with a low salary in Pittsburgh, and that's how I think people across the league believe this situation will unfold, with the Falcons releasing Cousins right around the start of the new league year. What have I been saying for the last 6-7 weeks? There is no way the Falcons are going to bring back Kirk Cousins. Does it make sense financially to move on from him? No. But there's a human element to this. Surely you have a Dwight in your office, someone that just gets under your skin and you don't enjoy working with. Imagine that being one of the highest paid employees and you kept him around when you had the option to move on from him. It's not the best analogy, but I think you can try and really appreciate the elephant in the room with keeping Cousins to be the backup for Michael Penix. I don't think this is going to be a simple retaining of him. If you're curious what this all is stemming from, it's Cousins hopping on Good Morning Football and talking about his injury, saying against the Saints, I hit pretty good in my right shoulder and elbow, and from there was kind of dealing with that, I was working through, and just never really could get it to where I wanted it. Kirk Cousins is forcing his way out of Atlanta. He is letting the public know I was injured last year, so please don't hold that really bad 5-game stretch against me. I was playing through an elbow and a shoulder injury. He is in self-preservation mode. He is trying to maintain his image of still being a quality starting quarterback in the NFL. And so he has to put out there, I'm injured, or I at least was injured. I'm healthy now, though. That's why I was bad. And why is this bad for Raheem Morris and the Falcons? Because Raheem Morris looks like the biggest pumpkin. You didn't know he was injured? Cousins undoubtedly probably lied and downplayed the injury. He knew that if he went to the bench, even for an injury, Michael Penix would never give that starting gig back to him. You can't put the rookie back on the bench if he starts to play well. It's just an unreversible move. So he had to play through it. But I am still not giving Raheem Morris a pardon. You see this guy every day in practice, every single game day, and you could not come to the conclusion of, something looks a little off with him. Is it just me, or does he not look like he has his fastball anymore? It's your job as a coach to put your team in a position to be successful. That's job number one. And Kirk Cousins, no doubt, put himself ahead of the team by playing through an injury to not lose his starting job, knowing that he would probably never get it back. But Raheem Morris has to do what's best for the team. And if he could see that, I think everyone else could see, Kirk Cousins was not playing up to standard, a change should have been made way earlier. Instead, they lost 4 games in a row. And even the one game that they did win in this 5-week stretch against the Raiders, imagine they started Penix that game. And instead of Michael Penix's second NFL start being in Washington, it's his third NFL start. And he's a little bit more comfortable. It's a big what if, but I really think that if Penix starts one game earlier against the Raiders, and the Commanders game is his third start, then he might be a little bit more comfortable compared to his second career start. Now, like I said earlier, financially, you don't have anything to gain by moving on from Kirk Cousins, which plenty of people have pointed out. If we're paying him, why not have him be the backup at least? I think Adam Schefter said it best. Look at the Broncos. They could have kept Russell Wilson to be the backup with Bo Nix. Does anyone think that Bo Nix would have been as successful being an NFL Rookie of the Year finalist with Russell Wilson breathing down his neck? No. Do you think Russell Wilson would have bent over backwards to help the rookie develop? No, he would have been in selfish mode because he's at the end of his career. They're all competitors and they all want to start. So I have no doubt that if they keep Michael Penix and Kirk Cousins together in this quarterback room, you are not creating an environment where Penix has a backup whose sole interest and purpose is to lift up the starter. I could be terribly wrong, but I don't believe that's going to happen with Kirk Cousins. Now, having said all this, I'll also add Terry Fontenot's future is completely in the lefty's hands. He signed Cousins. I say he. Everyone, like Raheem Morris, Arthur Blank, they all, I'm sure, had some say in signing Kirk Cousins. But you're the GM. The buck ends with you. Things don't go well with Penix. Man. You signed Cousins to a $180 million deal. You paid him $90 million for 1 year of work. And then you use the 8th overall draft pick on a quarterback that if that doesn't go well, he's gone. I don't think that's any brand spanking new information or analysis, but Fontenot's future completely lies in Penix's hands for all of the mistakes he's made in the past and not producing one single winning season. Before we get on to the rest of today's episode, today's show is made possible thanks to our friends over at GameTime. GameTime has this awesome feature called GameTime Picks. And what that does is it filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you do not have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. One thing I really like about GameTime is their all-in pricing option. Toggling this feature shows the total upfront cost with no surprise fees at checkout. Plus, they offer the GameTime guarantee. If you find tickets in the same section and row for less, GameTime will credit you 110% of the difference. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with GameTime. Download the GameTime app, create an account, and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CHATSPORTS for $20 off. I put all that information in the comments and description of today's video. Download GameTime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Sticking with Penix here, I want to make it clear right now, and let's get this on the record. Michael Penix is a quarterback that I am a believer of, and I think he will be a successful quarterback in the NFL. 775 yards across 5 games and 3 starts his rookie season. 3 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, but if you actually watch the games, 2 of those interceptions were not on him whatsoever. It went through the receiver's hands and just a little unlucky for the guy. But overall, I am optimistic for Penix. If there are 2 things that I am concerned about, so I don't just get completely on my knees and suck the skin off, it's the injury history. He's torn both his ACLs. He's hurt both shoulders in college, so a little fragile. And the accuracy issues, because there were plenty of balls that were overthrown and just not quite on target. But hey, I'm sure you and I would get the jitters too if we were making our first or second NFL start. So I'm very confident that he's going to have a good career at the Falcons from what we saw in his rookie season. And even going back to Washington, he was a prospect that I think I was trying to find the list, and I couldn't find it within 10 minutes, and I didn't want to spend, 30 minutes looking. But last year, if you recall all the pre-draft videos we did, my quarterback rankings were, and maybe I never put it in writing, but I'm sure I verbalized it. Caleb Williams, Drake May, Jaden Daniels, Michael Penix, Bo Nix, J.J. McCarthy, somewhere in that area. And maybe just revisionary history right now kicking in here, but overall, I'm confident. I'd put myself at a 7.9. I'm going to make him earn the 8. 7.9. I also just want to share this bit of information here. I was curious about, hey, as he gets ready for his second season, what's the history of round 1 quarterbacks who sat their rookie year? Now, it's not like the olden days when pretty much every quarterback as a rookie sat. there's not even a clear answer, or sorry, a recent example of someone who sat their entire rookie year. Like Trey Lance, he played a little bit. Jordan Love, he did sit his entire rookie year. So forget what I just said a moment ago. But he's like the only one. Lamar played the last 7 games, but he was intended to sit his whole rookie year. And then, like Penix, took over for a bench quarterback in Flacco. Mahomes sat his whole rookie year, but he did play the last week of the season. Jake Locker, I don't know if he just sat or if he just sucked in camp and everyone realized this was quickly a bad mistake. Tebow did not play much at all his rookie year. So I'm bringing all this up to go, there's not actually a lot of historical points we can look at of what happens to round 1 quarterbacks who sit their rookie year. How do they usually look in year number 2? We didn't get that with Jordan Love because he didn't play in year number 2. Lamar sat-ish, but like Penix, he did play his rookie year, although he played twice the games Penix played. But he was awesome his second season. We know what happened with Mahomes, so I don't think we should look at Mahomes as a blueprint because I think Mahomes would have been awesome if he played his entire rookie season too. He's just in his own tier. He's one of one. One quick other story item that came out of Radio Row that I thought you guys might have a little bit of interest in. So we all know that Myles Garrett requested a trade, and now the dominoes are beginning to fall in Cleveland. A Browns beat reporter, Mary Kay Cabot, putting out that Denzel Ward says if the Browns trade Myles Garrett, he'll question whether or not he wants to stay. I thought we could at least discuss this briefly because the Falcons do need another corner opposite of A.J. Terrell. Mike Hughes is going to be a free agent. D. Alford is going to be a free agent. Now, this would be a major get. I think Denzel Ward is better than A.J. Terrell. So we're not talking about finding a new CB2. You're adding another CB1. It'll be expensive and not just from draft capital standpoint, which Atlanta does not have a ton of. They have their first, their second, their fourth, and 2 sevenths, which I think a second could get it done, but you probably have to overpay a little bit since the Browns have no interest in trading their own star players. So you got to make them an offer they really can't refuse. And Atlanta does not have deep draft picks pockets to make offers that teams can't refuse. So I don't think there's much of a chance that Denzel Ward comes to Atlanta whatsoever. He hasn't even requested a trade yet. So we're kind of putting the cart in front of the horse, but just a name to throw your way coming out of Radio Row to watch for. So with that all being said, I will add this to kind of wrap up the video. Watch for the Falcons to trade back from pick 15. After looking over their 5 draft picks, which I really only want to say they have 3 draft picks because 7th round picks are worthless. I mean, I know there are some examples. Julian Edelman was a 7th rounder. Okay, cool. Name me 2 more guys. Brock Purdy. All right, name me 1 more. But the point being is, let's not act like 7th round picks should have an equal amount of weight when discussing a team's total picks. So if you only have 3 picks in the first 6 rounds, yeah, I think you're going to have some level of interest in acquiring more picks. So would you guys be open to trading back from 15? Sound off down below. I would love to hear from you because most fan bases are always on board with trading back to get more picks. I am of the mindset of we tend to undervalue quality picks versus quantity picks. How many times have we seen teams make big trades and get a bunch of picks and it doesn't quite work out for them? If there's a player you really like, I'd rather have 1 great player than 2 good players. But in this draft class, there are a lot of really good pass rushers. So this might be a good year to move back and get some more picks because you can still get a great pass rusher if you move back 5, 6, 7 or so spots. So that's going to do it for us on today's episode. Thank you all so much for tuning in. We will sign off and catch up with you all later.